For a handheld to stick out in today's market and to catch mainstream attention, it's gotta be an absolute slapper. It's gotta fill the void of whatever it is we're missing, or be such a generational jump that we can't look away. And as we are coming to the end of 2025, there is a handheld that I just cannot get over. And of course, I am talking about the SouljaGame Flip. This thing is just so good, man. The innovation from Soulja Boy to drop this banger of a handheld. I mean, it's like if you took a Flip 2 and then made it a Flip 2. Dude, I have been laughing nonstop all morning trying to look into the Soulja Flip 2. And if you go to his official website, all you're gonna find are just like a bunch of AI photos about the console. SouljaGame Flip device showcasing its vibrant screen controls. And it's just a photo of a handheld with 3 thumbsticks on it. Okay, you already know that the device that I'm actually talking about here is, of course, the AYN Thor. Oh my gosh, dude. This thing just gets me so pumped. I don't know what it is. It's probably the fact that I grew up with the DS and the 3DS, but holding this thing, looking at it with my eyes, it's like, it just does something to me. One of the biggest issues, though, with this device when it first dropped was the fact that a lot of the software hadn't really been updated or developed to maintain and adjust for all of the dual screen chaos that this thing provides. But now, since the device has been in the hands of the public for a good month or so, the landscape has changed a little bit, which is why I'm so hyped to share with you exactly how I've set this thing up and configured it to handle all of my retro gaming needs and whatever else I want to throw at this beautiful looking 3DS. I've basically turned this thing into a DS themed 3DS. I mean, just look at this. It's so beautiful. Even though I'm hyper fixating on the AYN Thor in this video, a lot of what I'm saying can be applied to several different handhelds, whether or not they have an extra screen. So even if you don't own this new and shiny toy, I'm hoping that there's some bit of information in this video that you can apply to whatever it is that you currently play on. The most important thing when it comes to the AYN Thor or any gaming Android handheld on the market is, of course, the front end. This is the application that will organize all of your games, scrape your box art, and make everything feel like a console experience, and it's not just some random Android tablet with gaming controls attached to it. Normally, it's pretty simple. You just pick the one you prefer and you're off and running, but with the Thor, it's a bit nuanced because we've got 2 different screens, so we need to find a software that at least takes that into consideration. In my first video, I showed my setup with Show, which wasn't really optimized that well for dual screens, but I found a way to make it work, and it was okay. Since that video, we've gotten a handful of updates across the pond here for different front ends, and my favorite one right now at this moment is Emulation Station Desktop Edition. They've updated things here for dual screen usage that we'll get into later, but one of the biggest reasons why I love ESDE is because of all the different themes we get. And to be more specific, there is a theme that is literally called the DS theme. This theme has been designed to mimic the entire home menu system for the original DS and DS Lite. It matches the aesthetic, uses the same fonts, and even gives you those nostalgic DS menu system sound effects. It feels like it was designed for something that has dual screen functionality, but what you'll quickly notice is that ESDE only works and shows up in one screen for the AYN Thor. So I photoshopped this basic wallpaper to then go along with the ESDE theme, and then I put this on my Android wallpaper, and just like that, I've got things synced up pretty nicely. And this setup genuinely works great and looks good, and I thought I was completely finished until I saw this freaking Reddit post that showed this like DS Lite, DS original model clock on the top, and it was a live wallpaper matching with the ESDE DS theme on the bottom, and I was speechless. I had to figure out how to do this. This is actually utilizing Wallpaper Engine, which, if you're unaware, is a Steam game app that you can sync up with the Android version in the Google Play Store. So you download Wallpaper Engine on your PC, get it up and running, and then send over different wallpapers to your Android device. And coincidentally enough, there just so happens to be a wallpaper called Nintendo DS Clock. So then on the AYN Thor, you can remove all of the apps on your default home screen and then use Wallpaper Engine to change the top screen background to this DS themed one. I'm in the middle of editing this right now, and I forgot to mention that you also have to resize the actual image itself through the Wallpaper Engine app. And then to finish it all off, you launch ESDE on the bottom screen, and boom, you've got one of the cleanest looking setups I've ever freaking seen. I just want to highlight in particular ESDE on the bottom screen with this DS theme. I feel like it fits the device perfectly. When I've got a game on the top screen and this is what's showing on the bottom, it looks so natural to me and as if this was designed for the system itself. The only nitpicks I have with this initial setup are the fact that the bottom icons aren't touchscreen, which would make it feel like an actual DS. And then I also kind of get a bit OCD about the fact that the grid wallpaper on the ESDE theme isn't the exact same grid that's used in the Wallpaper Engine theme. This setup is also only possible because of the latest ESDE update, which added a function where if you go to your settings, you can enable this option to launch all your games on the opposite screen. So if you enable this, then obviously once you pick a game on the bottom screen, it'll load up and throw it on the top screen. This setup is of course sick and super nostalgic, but what really stole the spotlight for me and made me feel like I just had an epiphany was Wallpaper Engine. The sheer power that this app gives these Android handhelds, and more specifically this dual screen device, is incredible. It feels like a big breakthrough for a lot of Thor users because your customization now is limitless. I went ahead and configured things myself, and check this out: an ESDE analog pocket theme on the bottom with a manga wallpaper that's matching the color scheme on the top. Or maybe you want something that's N64 themed with this. You could do some type of Pokemon theme. It's not perfect, but man, it's hard to not drool a little bit when I'm seeing some of the customization. And this is just me. I'm sure you guys could figure something even crazier out. There are other options if you don't want to have, separate applications or wallpapers running on each different screen. You can use Console Launcher, which I've seen and talked about before that a lot of people are using for the AYN Thor. It'll sync up the bottom screen to match up and display something that's giving you an item or a game on the top, and it does look more like an overall package. But this isn't officially released yet, and I was running into some weird bugs, like it wouldn't sync up with my RetroArch cores at all, so I couldn't launch certain games. But I'm really hopeful for the future. When this is complete and all said and done, I will be diving headfirst into it. Either way though, we've got this thing looking good, clean, and aesthetic, and this is just the software side of things. So let's go ahead and dive into the games themselves and see how I've configured things over there. The way that I personally go about setting up all of my retro systems and consoles on any device comes down to two combining factors: shaders and then texture packs. Shaders change the way the game looks in real time by adding effects like CRT scan lines, color grading, and lighting tweaks, while texture packs actually replace the in-game textures themselves with higher resolution or custom artwork to give everything a cleaner, more upscaled look on top of what it's already doing internally. It's actually a super basic setup here when it comes to RetroArch. On all of the home console systems like NES, SNES, PS1, Sega Saturn, I use the CRT Royale shader on all of it. This comes with RetroArch whenever you update your shaders inside of the app, and it's one of the more demanding CRT shaders, but because of the Thor's capabilities and its power that it's packing underneath the hood, it's able to play these systems with this shader pack included so easily. My favorite system to show off the power of this shader is actually PS1, and more specifically directly inside of Gran Turismo when you're selecting your car. It just looks so cream-worthy here, dude. You've got like the low poly car spinning around with this shader effect on, and I'm not even a car guy, but this just makes me want to sit here, and sometimes I just stare at my handheld while the car is just rotating and I don't even play the game. When it comes to handheld systems, systems like the Game Boy or the Game Boy Advance, since these didn't come on a CRT screen, I don't find as much enjoyment using a CRT shader because it doesn't remind me of what it looked like when I was a child. Because of this, I opt to go for the Coco AIO shaders, which can be found as well in RetroArch when you update your shaders. Just look at this real quick. It looks to me not necessarily identical to what I would see on a GBA, but I really enjoy the way all the pixels are spread out and just the aesthetic that it's giving me. On top of just in-game shaders, what I also like to add to my systems when available are in-game overlays. These provide just a little bit of details to fill out the bezels in between the awkward aspect ratios for your 16:9 and 1080p display. There's a guy named Watomsk that created this overlay pack for the Retroid Pocket 5, which has the same screen dimensions and aspect ratio as the AYN Thor top screen. So I throw these on, and what it does is gives me just a simple little logo like the Game Boy Advance logo or the Game Boy Color logo, and then we've got a little power LED icon that's glowing in between and inside of the bezels. Most overlays out there just do a little too much in my opinion. Like, I'm not trying to fill up the entire bezel. I'm just trying to add a little bit of charm here and there to make it feel, I don't know, a bit more nostalgic, I guess. Unfortunately, Watomsk has only made overlays for the handheld systems, and you know, for something like SNES or PS1, which are I think my most played retro consoles on a retro handheld, there's no overlay that I've found that kind of matches this vibe. So what I've been doing in Photoshop instead is creating some kind of aesthetic and nice looking graphics or overlays that I can throw on top of my gameplay. I've tried to match the minimal aesthetic by just giving a logo of the system on both sides and then adding a CRT effect and kind of glow to them while I'm playing my games. And I thought this looked pretty good, and I don't know, maybe I'll end up finishing this. I don't know. Is this something that you'd be interested in? Because if other people want this, then I'll end up finishing them. I'm very happy and pleased with how this looks, and now we can get into the even heavier hitters on the side of emulation. When it comes to the newer 3D retro consoles like the GameCube or the PS2, this is where HD texture packs and modding the files start to come in. Besides just upscaling the graphics to a 3x upscaled native resolution, which looks great, if you can pair this with a functioning widescreen hack to fill up the entire screen and then throw on texture packs that are HD and meant for a 1080p display, the games will literally look like a remastered version from your childhood. It gets tricky, and I don't want to sell you the idea that this is perfect. Like, for example, on Pokemon XD, there's a couple of glitches whenever you're walking around on the widescreen hack mode and you just want to stay in 4:3. But on so many other games, there is the option to play with a widescreen resolution that fills up the bezels. Wind Waker is a gorgeous example. You can find HD texture packs online, install them in Dolphin, and then enable widescreen hacks, and boom, you've just got this Wind Waker looking full-on remaster, but with that GameCube charm. These HD texture packs have been out for so long, but every time I see them in action, especially in a handheld format, I just am kind of speechless. I can't even imagine what my younger self would do if you showed him this modern looking 3DS running Wind Waker that looks like this. I probably would have just picked up the device, looked at it, and then just, you know, like... The DS system is probably the easiest thing to set up here on this list, because once you get Melon DS up and running, then all you have to do is throw on a nice little LCD shader effect. This is literally all that I add and all that I really can do to make the games look more like a DSi XL. And surprisingly, I think this looks really great, and it kind of mimics, if not outperforms, the DSi XL whenever the textures while I'm emulating aren't glitching. The setup for the 3DS was also pretty straightforward, but we are going to be utilizing some added HD texture packs now to bring these games to life. Just like with some of the other retro systems, there's so many HD texture packs out there available for you to download and install directly into your emulator. The problem with all 3DS games, even if you upscale them internally, there's going to be some textures that you just can't make look any better unless you do a little bit of digging online. I just recently found this HD texture pack for Alpha Sapphire, and Omega Ruby, and I thought the game looked fantastic before, just straight out of the emulation software. But now whenever you throw in HD texture packs where all the fonts and all of the small little items or symbols have been upscaled to the proper resolution, I was tripping out about Wind Waker before, but man, this is just next level, dude. Dual screen OLEDs with updated texture packs in a Pokemon game that I love. I mean, dude, I'm gonna make like 45 videos on this stupid device if I'm not careful. And thankfully, the 3DS community has developed so many different texture packs. It's crazy. There's Ocarina of Time in 1080 or 4K. You can get a Majora's Mask HD texture pack. And I did some digging, dude. I found one Reddit post that has a Google Drive link to just this random HD texture pack for Animal Crossing New Leaf, and I think the main Reddit user combined multiple different textures from multiple different packs that were available online. The game that I literally said in my first video for the AYN Thor that sold me on the upscaling officially has HD texture packs included, and it feels as close to like a random off brand remaster as you could get. There's something about this that just feels so like poetic and beautiful, like not to be super corny and dramatic. The community is just so passionate to work on all of these different projects. And then specifically when we're talking about the 3DS and the DS systems, I thought most of these games were just gonna collect dust and then we would never see or hear from them again, because it doesn't seem like Nintendo are ever gonna re-release some type of dual screen device, and remastering a dual screen game sounds kind of impossible without a dual screen device. The community for all of these retro games is just so massive, and it goes to show how much of an impact that these games truly had on our childhood for us to still want to invest time in them this many years later. And most of these projects and community fan-made games are free. Bringing things back to the Thor though, there's even more customization that is to be had, like with accessories and physical items that you can actually attach to this device. There's some charms that you could add to this thing. I've seen some dope stickers on Etsy, and there's even the comfortable ergonomic grips that some people in AYN themselves have up for sale. The possibilities are endless, and I'll probably have like another setup video for this thing in a couple of months that's just completely different. Like I said at the beginning of the video though, a lot of these things can be applied to any handheld that you have, and you don't have to buy the new shiny thing that is the Thor. You could still get this experience, besides maybe some of the dual screen games, in several other handhelds. I'll put a Google Doc in the description of this video that will give you all of the tutorials and the helpful resources that I used with the HD texture packs, and all of those links in a single place, so you can click that and hopefully have a good time. I've also got a Discord with people in there that are way smarter than me that could probably help you out. The community is super nice. I wouldn't go as far to say that the Thor is my end game device just yet, but I don't know how this thing can be topped at the moment. Cause I ain't tryna punch with a hollow uppercut. You stunting something sorrow, but it's only for the month. You hunting something borrowed, but I know you feel the front. I feel the pressure crunch on the time I got to do